Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Southern Dirt. My name is Summer, and in this video I'm going to give you an update of my Central Florida Zone 9 garden. Recently we had a couple heavy frosts, one back in around Christmas time and another just about a few weeks ago. So I kind of wanted to go walk around and show you what I'm doing and what I'm not doing until our last possible frost date, and then kind of look at the weather 2 weeks after that and kind of see, is it ready to plant in direct sow, or are we gonna just kind of hold off? So I wanted to share that with you. And also recently I achieved 10,000 subscribers. So I wanted to thank all of you for watching all of these videos that I blab about my garden, and thank you for sharing them with your friends and family. I could have never done this without you. 3 years ago I started this small YouTube channel in hopes that I could keep track of how my garden did through the season, so I could go back and look at them and know what to plant and what not to plant for the next season. And I figured I would share my journey and my struggles and be very transparent with others in hopes that you guys don't give up, because it is a very up and down type of hobby for sure. So thank you again for subscribing, and I'd love to know how long you've been watching my channel. So put that in the comment box below. And I also want to know what video you want me to do next. If you can, come up with some ideas, put them in the comment box below, and I'm going to choose a few topics, and then I'm going to have everybody vote on them. So make sure you do that, and I hope you enjoy this video. So here's our entryway to the garden. We've got 2 queen wreaths vines here. Thankfully, we didn't get much damage to this during the freeze. We had a little bit of our tops kind of get a little crunchy, but it looks like it's pushing a lot of new vines. And it actually looks like it's going to bloom soon. If you don't already yet follow me on Instagram, you might want to do so, because I'll be posting pictures of this vine. It's actually my favorite vine to take pictures of. It's got these beautiful purple flowers, and when the flowers start to fall off, it's like raining beautiful flowers. So I also post pictures of our harvest, what I'm doing in the kitchen, the kids in the garden, and all the wonderful things that come into the garden or come around the garden. Over here we have some Vego garden beds. We have 2. I am waiting to get another one here. We want to put a 3rd one. I'm really happy with these. We've got some beans plugged into the side. I've got some Mexican heather. I have some African blue basil, which has become my absolute favorite pollinator in the garden. It's super easy to propagate. I'm actually going to be shipping 2 items this week only, because I know I won't have enough for everyone, but I'm going to be trimming back my African blue basil and my Aquina spinach. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, because I've been calling this the purple longevity spinach. We have green longevity spinach and this purple that looks just like it. I was given a cutting and told that they were both longevity spinach, and I was corrected by one of my subscribers, and we are needing to cut this back. So it looks like it's going to go to seed soon, and this is just one plant, so it's actually covering up a lot of my plants and shading them out. So if you're interested in cuttings of these are really good in sandwiches or like a spinach dip, or even just throwing them into soup. They've got all kinds of nutrition. I have a comfrey plant here. This was a cutting that was given to me. I actually have 2. And thankfully this garden was covered during the freeze. This you can actually use as a fertilizer or a compost starter. So when we get close to harvest, I will share what I'm doing with that. We have some broccoli here. These I did not thin out, so I've got 3 plants here. I just wanted to see what would happen with multi-plants, so I can share with you guys. If for some reason you have multi-plants growing, I always thin my plants out to 1 plant, unless it's like squash or pumpkin, something like that. We've got some snacking peppers over here. I have some basil that's struggling. It got a little frostbite there. And I've got all kinds of crazy weeds. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be planting here in a little bit. I've got some things laid out. Got some mint over here. I'm going to trim back this basil. It's looking pretty rough with all the cold weather we've had. Over here, we have some butterfly peas. I forgot to mention I have some cranberry hibiscus over here, which is flowering. It's really pretty. We just got started into making teas from our flowers in the garden, so soon I'll share with you of how we're using that as well. But our butterfly peas is new this year to the garden, and we're just having a hard time getting them to climb up. Before I didn't have this area irrigated and I was hand watering. I felt like it was just holding the water a bit much, so I stopped watering it for a little bit. Now we've got some irrigation hooked up, so we got one little one climbing, and hopefully we'll have some flowers. Actually looks like I have a little bud coming on here. Over here I'm really excited to show you my GreenStalk garden, because for the first time I have had success growing lavender. Look at that lavender. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I have all kinds of beautiful blooms just like consistently flowing out of this tower. So that's been really fun. When these flowers start drying, I'm going to start cutting them off and saving them and see if we can't make some stuff with those. I've been getting all kinds of tomatoes from these little mini tomatoes that I saved the seeds from. They're called Siam, and they're just perfect size to put in your GreenStalk. I just picked some last night. I've got some chives, some thyme. I've got some beautiful peppers growing out of here as well. I went ahead and plugged some African blue basil in here. I've got some, oh, I forgot about these carrots. I can't wait to see how these are gonna do in the GreenStalk. Looks like we have a few decent ones in there. And I have some kale down here at the bottom. This is called Blue Dazzling Kale, along with some sage right here. And this is the first time I've grown green beans out of the GreenStalk, and look at how pretty those are. So I'm excited about this. Recently I bought some frost covers for these GreenStalks, so it can make it easy if we do have a frost or freeze warning. It creates 8 degrees of warmth, and I can leave them on during the day because it allows light to come in as well. So if we have consistent days of cold weather and we're leaving for the weekend, my plants are going to stay fine under that frost cover. So things like beans and tomatoes and peppers, and I will show you my eggplants and different things that are frost tender. We keep them all in our GreenStalks because they're so easy to cover. So I think I've covered that. And of course, you guys know they're one of my favorite affiliate programs. I absolutely love these. They're made in America, and you can save $10 off your order with promo code ST10. That's SD10. Over here in our other Vego garden bed, my tomatoes have gone crazy. Like, they were up here and I had to bend them over for our furries because we didn't want our cloths touching the leaves because they would get toasted. So I put my stakes up high to kind of drape them. In the meantime, they are like shading out my plants underneath and just getting so tall. These have been one of my best producers of tomatoes. These are called Moneymaker tomatoes, and look at this. I mean, tomatoes everywhere. I've already harvested a ton of green tomatoes during right there before Christmas when we had that frost advisory. I went ahead and harvested a lot of my tomatoes. I was just worried the weather was going to get too cold, and we still have a ton of tomatoes that are turning red, and they're the perfect size too. And I've got a bunch of cilantro over under here that's getting shaded out, but it's still growing. So we've been using a lot of that. In December, I plugged in some sugar snap peas here, just to kind of see how they would do, kind of flowing outside this garden bed. I also planted some kohlrabi and some beets. I've got some blue dazzling kale in here, and I've got some collard greens in there. Remember when I wasn't sure if I spread carrots into this bed? Well, I did. So they're popping up now, which is perfect because as I start to harvest some of the food, they're slowly coming up. Got a couple cabbages there. And if you haven't watched my harvest from this garden bed, you can go to my short videos, and I think it's the second to the last video, and you can see all the beautiful food that I've harvested from here. It was right before the freeze, and I was harvesting a lot of food from the garden, and it was a beautiful, fun little harvest with my youngest daughter. She helped me. I just replanted lettuce here. I did have, I think it was called salad bowl lettuce in here that we really liked, and black seed Simpson is what I just kind of sprinkled on here. We also have some onions kind of wisping out here, and it looks like my little flower plant didn't really survive. Maybe I'll trim it back and see what happens. I'm going to show you my other GreenStalks. I'm really excited about my strawberry tower. I finally found some strawberries, and look at how beautiful this is. Look at the strawberries. I'm so excited. Me and the girls just did a video on this as well, setting it up and putting our strawberries in it. And we actually just did our first harvest from here, and we're just eating them fresh right off of the tower. I'm using them in oatmeals. The kids just really like eating them fresh. They usually don't make it into the kitchen. So this is a perfect way to grow strawberries. For the longest time, I was unsuccessful with strawberries. Growing them on the ground, they just laid in the dirt and they got real nasty. I couldn't keep the squirrels off of them. Now I have finally found a solution, which is the GreenStalk garden. And if I had more space and more money, I would buy more of these GreenStalks. So that's doing great. Over here, I'm excited to show you this eggplant. So every year whenever we have a freeze, I always lose my eggplants. So this year, I decided to plant a couple in the GreenStalks. I knew I could cover it easily. And so far, we're having success. We've got flowers everywhere. I got another one over here. Let's see, right here. Look at the flower. They're so pretty. And I ordered these little supports that you can get to support your plants. Last year, I had a lot of peppers growing in here, and that's most likely what I'll do again. I'll put peppers on the bottom half after we harvest all of our lettuce, because that did so well. I have not had much success growing peppers in the ground, but just holding all the nutrients and the good soil in these GreenStalks have made it really easy to grow peppers from. So let's see what else we have. We have some beautiful rosemary. I have some oregano. I've mostly harvested all my lettuce. I've just got a few more heads in here. I'm probably going to trim these flowers back. This tomato got a little sick, but it's still producing. We've got all kinds of butter crunch and romaine in here. Over here is our boring garden. There's not a whole lot going on in here because I've got so much shade from this tree that has been growing here. The sun will change during the spring, and I'll get a little more sun in this garden, so I'm going to start planting soon over there. Over in this garden, I got a little damage on our tomatoes. I am not trimming this back quite yet because I don't want to do that until my last average frost date is coming up. And I don't want to do it on that actual day because one of my first couple years of gardening, I thought the last frost date was the absolute last frost date, which it actually ended up freezing 2 weeks after, and I lost most of my garden. So you want to look at the forecast at that last average frost date for your zone. If there is no threat of any frost or freeze, then you can go ahead and cut them back, because what happens is if we do get another freeze, at least this damaged part here will protect most of the plant. We did cover these. I had a neighbor, thankfully, that came over here and covered for me. I was on a church camping trip, and thankfully she had some easy covers to throw on, and that worked out good for her. I said, don't really worry about these to other tomato plants, but she gratefully went ahead and covered. These are my Everglades tomatoes, and yes, they look really rough because the sheets touch the edge of these plants. So if you haven't ever had an Everglades tomato, they're really good, and they're just tiny little, like, dime-sized tomatoes. I do sell seeds on my website, along with some other Florida seeds that are great for our region. And these survive wonderfully during the summer. These are the only tomato plants that will make it through the summer that I know of. But if you have any suggestions of good hardy tomato plants that will make it through the summer in our hot weather, let me know. The weeds have been outrageous in my garden. I haven't had a whole lot of time to put into this garden since, really, honestly, Thanksgiving. It's kind of been a whirlwind. And I did plant some things, just the weeds have kind of got out of control. So recently I did I sprayed the garden with a solution that included vinegar, salt, and Dawn dish soap. And I'll give you the ratio that I used in the description below if you want to try it. I tried it a few years ago. I feel like it worked for the most part, but some grasses it did not kill. So, but I didn't want to try it again because it's so bad, to show you guys what the results were. Over here, I really can't remember this flower I planted. It is called the Bachelor Button. So these look like they're gonna be blooming soon. I planted them back in October, it looks like. And there's another set of those. I did have some other flowers here. I had some zinnias, but the freeze took out those. We also had some Seminole pumpkins here that were basically on their tail end anyways, and the frost took those out as well. I will be replanting those probably in May. They do best in the summer anyway. And I'll be replanting some mammoth sunflowers that grow 10 to 12 feet tall on this back row. When did you show up? You just snuck out here and started reading? That's my daughter Autumn, little Southern Dirt, and we're homeschooling this year and she just loves reading in this tree. Anyways, over here we have another money maker, and as you can see, we got a little bit of burnt edges on this one as well. I'm just gonna leave it until our last frost date. This one was so low to the ground and really tiny. This is an Everglades tomato that it really didn't get a whole lot of damage. We also have onions plugged in around our plants here. We love adding them in soups and salads and anything that really calls for an onion. If we don't have onion bulbs, we'll just use the onion tops. They also are known to deter some bugs. They don't like the smell of it, so we like to just plant them between every plant. Ooh, I haven't even looked under here. But these are my Brussels sprouts. I thought I lost these guys. But they are slow growing as usual. I've never had much success with Brussels sprouts, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get some this year. Maybe we'll get them to grow bigger. Actually, that one's a Brussels sprout, and I believe these are collard greens. Then I have some dinosaur kale over here. It's doing good. Collard greens and kale are super easy to grow. So if you're just starting out, those would be two that I suggest starting with. And they give off so much food. We probably have kale and collard or mixed greens probably once a week, and we still have plenty to give and share. Over here I have some beets that got a little bit of damage. Nothing that I can't trim off, but they are just starting to grow a little bit of root in here. I thought about doing another planting right here next to them. I think it might be too late though. I'm trying to think forward to spring. Some more collard greens. Over here I did have some squash and zucchini that did not make it through the first freeze that we had in December. Over here we have our blueberry bushes. And we are starting to get a little bit of buds. I don't know if you can see that. The light is not that great today. Over here I have some onions that are starting to grow a little bit of bulbs there down below. But we just keep kind of trimming these back and using them in dishes. Here's my cabbage, which I really need to remove some of these bottom leaves. But this one's ready to harvest. And this one's ready to harvest. I tried to plant these and stagger them so I wasn't harvesting them all at the same time. Over here, I've got 3 different varieties of carrots. Let's see if I can harvest some. Hey girls, since you're out here, you want to help me harvest some of this food? Okay, so this is a garden carrot blend. Oh, and the brand is Seed of Change. So the kids have just been coming out anytime we have friends over or guests over. Our kids always love to come out here and pick some carrots for them. Over here we've got tender sweet carrots, and each, oh my gosh, so cute, this little lizard. Can you see him? Her. Oh, girls, you got to see this little lizard on the carrot top. Ooh, and that one might be a nice big one. So the way you can check your carrots is by just kind of poking your finger around in there and kind of check the base. Can you see that? That one's not quite ready, but I'm sure it might be a deep carrot. We've been pulling up decent sized carrots. Kind of looks like one of our kids just left a few here. And I don't even think I can find the tag on this group here of carrots. But guys, what would you say your favorite thing to grow is? Peas and carrots. Y'all be careful up there. You ready? Let's see it.
This is a carrot.
Oh yes, nice. Oh yeah.
That's just like, that's how we want them to.
Yeah.
Just like that, but just a little bit thicker.
So Autumn's already harvested a couple. These ones are pretty thick down here.
You don't pull them down, you do this.
That one has legs. All right, let's see, Autumn.
And one's broken. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, nice.
I want to show you my other one. This one used to have a tip, but I ate it.
You already ate it. All right, so these are our afternoon snacks. So over here we have some more comfrey, and we had our beans on this area here, which certainly did not make it. They're usually the first. Our beans, our squash, eggplants, tomatoes are the first to be toast during a freeze. So honestly, I mean, these look pretty toasted. I didn't get a chance to cover these the last time. The first one I did cover them and they got a little bit of a burn on them. I could try to cut these back and see if they'll grow, because years past I didn't mess with them and they did continue to grow back. But at this point in time, since planting season is pretty close, by the time I do trim them back and they start growing, it will be about the same time in growth rate as just planting new seeds. So these I'll actually be keeping to replant the seeds in here. Anytime they get bulgy like this and bumpy, you don't want to try to eat them. They get too woody feeling and tasting. So, but we'll save the seeds for those. I had some zinnias here that died back as well. Oh no. I forgot about these. I had some pretty succulents in here that we lost as well. I think I covered most of that garden. I think this year what I'm gonna do, my husband came across some of these bamboo stakes. Actually just happened to come with a trailer he bought because the guy didn't want to unload them. So thankfully I've got a ton of these bamboo sticks. Of course we do have bamboo trees, but it's just nice because they're already cut and ready. And I'm gonna probably build a little stake back here somewhere to put our beans and trellis them a real pretty way here soon. Over here is our longevity spinach that we did not cover. But in a hard freeze we had last year, I thought I lost this plant completely, and I cut it back all the way, and lo and behold, it came back. So I do see a little bit of green popping out here, so I am gonna trim this back soon, and we'll be able to get some more of this going. This is just one plant. These give off so much food. Over here I have some more of that, what I thought was purple longevity spinach, but it's actually the Aquana. I can't even say it right. Anyways, it started to flower, and I started to save the seeds, but it's just as easy to propagate this as probably starting from seed. And over here we have some collard greens. We've got some peas and weeds growing over here. And this is, I can't remember the flower. Oh, I will put it, foxglove, that's what it is, foxglove. This is a 2-year-old foxglove, so hopefully it will start blooming this year. It's lasted through last year's freeze and this freeze, so hopefully we'll actually have some blooms. And yes, I know it's toxic. A few people have commented. We don't have really any animals coming back here. Our kids know to stay away from it. But this was a plant we really fell in love with when we traveled to Alaska. They had them everywhere, and they just looked like these little fairy garden houses that were hanging, and our kids really enjoyed them, and it'll be fun to see these bloom. And I started these from seed a couple years ago. Some more collard greens. And here is what's left of our sunflowers. We had just full rows of sunflowers here. Here's one bloom. Over here, I just planted some flowers. I planted some French breakfast radishes, like right here. There's one of them. These are very mild radishes, and wow, I planted these on 12/8. Today is 12/25. So do the math on that. That's how fast these grow. And I haven't even fertilized them. Like, I literally threw them in and let them be. So these are really fun to throw on salads. Just cute for the kids to harvest. I did plant some marigolds. They were a white marigold, but they didn't get covered, so we lost those. And this is a morning glory. So I have several morning glory on this side and several morning glories on that side. So this year I had a goal of planting more flowers and from seed to see how those did. So now I'm going to show you over here what seeds and things I'll be starting. So over here in this big old mess here, I started a tray of seeds, and as you can see, my tags are all over the place, and a lot of them haven't come up. The reason being is I even teach everyone that whenever you start your seeds, especially if they're outside, you want to put some kind of cover on it with a weight, because the squirrels, mice, rats, lizards, varmints, whatever, will find your seeds and they will eat them and they'll dig them out. So that's exactly what happened. I covered them for like 3 nights, and then one night I completely forgot to come out here and cover. So I lost I started cantaloupe, some zucchini, some watermelon, and squash. Thankfully, they must like those type of seeds better. I don't even know what is what here. I started some dwarf blue curled baits and some more cabbage, but my tags were just torn out of place. So I don't know if we're gonna plant them, and if we do plant them, we won't know what they are until we harvest them. I've got to show you a video of us harvesting our sweet potatoes. All those vines died back, and I thought I would go ahead and pull those up. These are what's left, the smaller ones of them, but we got some huge ones. Maybe I'll show that at the end of the video, or I'll share it in my stories. Recently, our kids have entered some fairy gardens into the fair, our local fair. This is actually my youngest daughter. She couldn't enter because she's not old enough, but we wanted her to get involved anyways. I thought I'd show you that. Recently I invested in some of these burpee seed trays, and I'm really excited to use them because I keep looking at them in the stores and I'm like, should I make the investment? I just really wanted to see if they work well. And I mean, these are gonna last for a long time compared to those real flimsy trays that I use, like these. So for things like when I'm in the spring and fall planting, these will be really nice to use. They've got a little plastic container you can put some water in to keep them watered. And I also like the fact that you can cover them and put a little weight on them. So the mice, squirrels, and animals can stay out of those. You just have to remember to cover them. So I'll give you an update on these, and you can find all the products I use in the link below. I have some Amazon links along with my affiliate links with discounts and things, so you can shop all my favorite things there. Someone mentioned I should grow garlic, and thank you for mentioning that, because I tried to grow it once or twice before and just wasn't really excited on the growth rate. I don't know what type this is, but we had some growing in the refrigerator, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to separate these and stick them in the ground and let you guys know what happens. So if you haven't done that before and you got some growing in your fridge, try it out. But we're just going to stick it in the soil. I mean, I could just kind of let them grow roots in these if I wanted to. And you just want to at least, just like, whoa, sorry about that, just like you would onions, you're just going to always put them down like this. Another thing I wanted to try is ginger. Recently I've grew turmeric and I harvested it. I haven't even shared that video with you guys, but I promise I will. But it was so fun harvesting the turmeric that I thought, well, if I can grow turmeric, I can certainly grow ginger. So I just bought some ginger root at the store and figured, you know what, I'm gonna break this apart and see if I can grow ginger. So I'm gonna put that in one of my Vego beds and see how that does. I do want to plant some more marigolds, and I love these tags. This is all the tags I use, and this garden marker, it's super cheap. Those are also in my links below. These are onions from seed. I usually only grow from sets, but I wanted to show you guys how they grow from just seeds, and you can make the decision on what you want to do. Here's some beets I thought about growing, doing another planting of. I'm gonna do another second planting of cilantro because we eat so much. This is the kohlrabi I used. It's like a purple kohlrabi. And this squash was really cool. It's a bush scalp squash. Let's see. This is the Kilimanjaro white that I planted that did not survive the freeze. And here are the melons I tried to plant that I think mice grabbed, along with the spaghetti squash that I tried to plant that didn't make it, but I'm going to start again. Red cabbage. It's been so hard to find red cabbage, and recently I found some, so I made sure I got double. It might be too late to start this, and if you guys are wondering what you can plant now, I have a whole series on what you can plant month to month for zone 9A and B, so you know you're planting at the right time. I'll put that in the description below as well. We did plant these butterfly weeds in my daughter's garden, but I'm not going to show you their garden because it's just full of weeds and I don't know what is what. Maybe here soon. She did her first garden tour last year. That went over really well, and all of her friends watched, and she inspired lots of kids, and maybe we'll do that here soon. Don't hurt yourself. Some more French breakfast radishes, and I can't wait to plant some more beans, some more curly kale, and here's those morning glories that I planted. So hopefully those will look cool. Always important when you're starting seeds that you use a seed starting mix. I like this mix because it's a natural mix. It's OMRI listed, which means you can use for organic gardening. It's a little more expensive. It's pretty easy to find. I also have that on my Amazon links too that you can find below. I covered all my succulents, so they're all doing great. I have lots of flowers starting on the succulents. I can probably show that later. But I think I've completed everything.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Oh, ow.